Good morning and welcome to the Ridiculously Early J Morning Show. I actually forgot to hit the or unmute button on my mic for the first 5 minutes of the show, so I'm just skipping ahead. This was a fix for yesterday's bug where I wasn't showing the REPL input line correctly. I just needed to recalculate the number of lines based on the height of the buffer, and also I was missing a minus sign on the leftmost take. REPL is a read eval print loop, so if I run this, I can type in some code in J and it reads it in, it evaluates it, and it prints the result. So the term comes from Lisp, and I guess other things just call it a console or a listener or something like that, but I've always used the word REPL from Lisp. So we now have this ability to type in this weird looking J code and get the result to come out. Cool, thank you. All right, so that's where we left off yesterday. It was just position drawing yesterday, and so you weren't able to actually see what you were typing. So now that's fixed, and the plan is to get this into this presentation tool. So we have it actually. The idea is that this is recording the presentation that we want to make, and to make programming videos. And I believe now I believe the state right now is if I type E, yes, you can sort of kind of see it. Yes, okay. That's running really slow. But you're able to put it in here, and then when you press enter, nothing happens yet. And what is supposed to happen is first you're supposed to evaluate it just like we saw before. And second, it's supposed to show up in the script here. So this is actually an editor for a presentation, and the idea is that you can go into your REPL and you can type in the commands, and the commands show up on the screen and the results show up on the screen, and everything gets recorded, including your typing speed, the actual recording of your typing and the delays between your keystrokes and whatnot, or at least some rough approximation of that. So we actually have all that working. It's just not hooked up to this editor here. So that's my goal for today, is to get that working, is to be able to get in here and just record what I'm doing. So we do have the ability to insert a line into this document, right? So if I hit, you know what? Before I do this, I'm going to point out that the code is up here on tangents from JPrez. This is what I did yesterday. So I guess if I push that code that I just committed, then it should show up here. And so you can review the changes that are made. I try to commit pretty often. But what I was going to say is that this code currently, somebody asked about my setup the other day, and there's actually a line in this code that prevents it from running. So I'm going to make just a very simple screenplay here and just check it into the repository, and then that will be the hard-coded screenplay that I use from now on instead of this actual screenplay that I'm using. I don't have a load button, so that's the trick. Let's see. In Emacs here, we go to mje. It was the minimal J editor is what I started with. It probably should be called JPrez, but this is the main file. And if we go to open here, this is where we are getting the path. So org path. Org path is this, and we're going to change this to screenplay.org. And if I now go screenplay.org, this is org mode is part of Emacs. You can go to I believe it's orgmode.org and learn all about it. If you're using Emacs, it's a wonderful tool for organizing your life. But for what I'm doing here, I also use it for my presentations, and so this should be demo screenplay. I call it a screenplay instead of a script because I am writing scripts in the screenplay. So headings are just a star in front of it. So first heading, and then if you use this little block, the syntax here, you are able to put in some code. So let's see, I have some demo code right here on JKVM, which is my keyboard library. So I'm going to go ahead and put in this as my demo. Yeah, so this is going to show up. This is going to show up on the left-hand side in this little pane over here, and then we want something else over on the right-hand side. So I'm just going to put the same thing in here as a demo. And you know what? Maybe I'll put two different things so it doesn't confuse people when they don't know which one's coming from where. So this will come here, and we'll put the Mandelbrot demo here. All right, so then So it's an outline. So let's say first, or how about JKVM demo? How about that? So here's the first slide. And we'll just put 2 asterisks here. That will make it indented 1 level. First slide. And then let's say line by line. How about that? Line by line demo. And then here's how you. So now here's this where you say your script, your spoken part. Here's probably would in a real presentation tell you how to import it, but I don't want the thing to import the thing. Import it. Oh, maybe so that would be a good place to have a slide, right? Slides don't get executed. All right, so we'll put that on the left. Work. Because we're on the work branch, that's where all the magic stuff is happening. I haven't released this yet. So now once it's loaded, load, yes, okay, I do know how to spell. And text without is the spoken part. And then text with is shows up in the REPL. Here's how you load the view map part of JKVM, view matrix. Okay, you get the idea. This is a presentation. All right, so this is like the kind of stuff I would say, and then here's the kind of stuff that I would type as I was doing that in my presentation. So let's do this now, and so it should be loading from that screenplay file. If I run it now, index error. Yeah, I put the wrong path. So that is the problem. It tried to open it, and it failed silently when opening the path. Okay, so that's probably not what we want. Let me just say current directory, screenplay.org. And now, done loading, press enter. There we go. Go to the first slide. It does not fit on the editor, but okay. Here's my line by line demo. I'm just pressing the N key. Hello and welcome to my demo. Once it's loaded, here's how you load the view map part of JKVM. And finally, when you get to that line, it types it on the screen. You hit next, it shows the result of doing that, which is nothing. But now when you do the result of this, we get the Sierpinski triangle. And then when we do, this right pane is not scrolling correctly. That is a known bug. And then we get the normal view map colors, so we can see what the colors are. So there we go. That's how this thing is supposed to work. And the idea is that now you write the code right here in this presentation tool. You get the idea now. This is what we want. So I'm going to actually check this in so that we have a working screenplay. So git add screenplay and also MJE, and then git commit added demo screenplay. Right. So we're not hard coded to my own work in progress thing for my next video. I'm going to put something on that first slide, just that, or I'll just make demo slide, empty. Welcome to J. Welcome to J. Simple J commands. We'll do I10, count to 10, P of I10, and B first 10 primes. And then, let's see, 10, 10, reshape P of I100. How about this? Do it 2 ways and show that there's more than one way to skin a cat. Golfed. All right, so we do that. Done loading. So there we go. First 10 natural numbers. There we go. There's our demo. I think that's a pretty nice demo. And we get it right off the bat as we start pressing buttons when we log in. So git add or git commit. All right. So now that we have a screenplay to work with, then anybody who wants to actually try this should be able to do it. It does not work on OS X yet, simply because of JKVM. But you go to JPrez and it has all the instructions for how to load it, and should work on Windows, should work on Linux, and if it doesn't, then please let me know. I'll file a bug report, and we'll take care of it as soon as possible. So now the goal is, rather than having to write these things in Emacs, what I'm not getting here is the recording of the timestamps. So let's do that. All right, so I'm going to go back to just the simple REPL here, which is just the standalone version of this file. And you just type JREPL, and it runs, and we get this. And so then if you hit Control space is set as the default key for breaking out of, I think Control C also does this, sets it to the default key for breaking out of the event loop, and now we have the green cursor, so we're back in the real J prompt. And so what we should have now is names. We should have this REPL object, and then if we look inside the REPL, we should have an object called ed. So names of ed or REPL should include the log. So log being the log of all my keystrokes. And that got cleared out immediately as soon as I pressed enter. So if I do this again and I just type log of ed of REPL of base, because this is actually running in a kind of like separate environment. Now I should see the keystrokes I used to type that line right there. But I cannot do that because I cannot combine the double underscores with the thing. So we got to say REPL with the. All right. So this is saying look in the base locale for REPL, and then the double underscores say log. They're like it's like two different kinds of dots. One is for the namespace, which is this line right here, and one is for the object dispatch, object lookup, REPL. Log of ed of REPL. And there we go. That's what I had to do to type that line right there. I don't have my keyboard shortcuts for like copying from the history, so I'm going to go ahead and just use tmux. And if I go here, now I can say like, just something silly like 1 plus the length of this thing. And it gives me 20. Oh, right, but right, that's not going to help. That's not helpful because we actually need to return this. So let's say, look at this, and then I, would do what we just did a minute ago, PI 1010. All right, so it's showing exactly what I typed on that line. Maybe it would be more interesting to say, oops, log, and then do some jumping back and forth, and then maybe okay, I deleted that, and then I put it back, and I swapped these letters, swapped them back, and REPL, and there we go. It's a nice little fun, happy experiment here. So what I need to do is I need to capture that. I need to capture that log, and we're just discarding it when it in the REPL itself. So let's see what happens here. So in REPL.ijs, I think we have a key called accept. Whenever you press enter, it runs a verb called accept. And so here that says execute the buffer, and then set our redraw flag to 1 and the redraw flag of the buffer to 1, which I don't think is actually necessary. I think this is redundant. In fact, setting the value sets set val edit set val should set the R flag to 1. Set redraw flag. All right. So it's setting the value that is causing the log to be wiped out, which is good. So I need to actually check that in. So probably should run it to make sure I have not cracked JMJE. First 10 natural numbers. I'm liking that. Okay. Everything seems to be working. I'm able to type. I don't know why this is so slow. So I got to look into this. This is ridiculously slow when I type over here. I think probably something is redrawing on every frame that does not need to be. So we'll look into that. UI edit.ijs. All right, so UI edit in KVM is now redraw on set val. Okay, git push. And over here, GD REPL.ijs, REPL remove, or set val now sets the flag. Set val now sets R flag. I'm going to ignore the speed issue for now, and I'm going to work on getting this log to be recorded in the in the screenplay. So I need to override this accept verb in the editor, mge.ijs. I'm using these Control L keys to make little pages. I find that easier than scrolling. So this is my first page, second page, open. Here's the stuff that loads the file. This is unnecessary. I didn't like the fact that the code that loads the variables and then initializes the application is kind of scattered throughout this file. And so I started changing it here, and I wound up having to undo this. So I'm just going to fast forward. Yeah, because to make an assignment here, you absolutely have to have that defined. Otherwise, it doesn't know where to put it, because that's referring to a namespace. All I wanted to do was indent the code a little nicer, reorganize a little bit. Do I need to think about this right now? Is this important right now? Probably not. Does this have anything to do with my goal right now? It does not. So we're going to put this back up here. and we'll make this a to-do item. So rearrange mje.ijs so that there's less dependency, that open isn't in the middle of the file. I don't like that at all. I think all your initialization code should be at the end, but I guess I just have some cleanup to do before I can make that possible. All right, sorry for the false start there, but there we go. Okay, so we'll just maintain our technical debt, double down on our technical debt for a little bit. Yes, gdmje.ijs. All right. All right, so we did clean that up a little bit though. All right, so okay, clean up code a little bit. We still have 14 minutes. We're going to take this and we're going to make I just want to insert a line here. So right now I have a key O that's bound to that, and I can type some code in and I press enter. Oh, and look, I didn't need the cursor to disappear as well. So one more thing. I think loop KVM should turn the cursor off. I can't think of any reason why you would. Well, I mean, yeah, you might want. Well, no, but you're never going to want the default cursor. You might explicitly turn it on and put it somewhere, but I think you're going to do what I do and make a fake cursor. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, I don't know. I got to think about that. Okay, so it's to do whether I decide whether curse 0 should be part of loop KVM, and if not, and if so, how to use cursors. Maybe you just use cursors by using the widgets that have cursors built into them. So whatever. Did I already push that? I'm gonna force push it anyway because I know nobody has downloaded this. I believe nobody has downloaded this code in 2 seconds since I've done it. So bad practice. But also one of the benefits of not having anyone use your code yet. All right, so I don't have an except. I'm not overriding except yet. So that's where I'm at here. All right, so I'm going to break this into 2 pages. So this is the page for editor widget on the left. And so that goes there, and then so now that gives me a little more room to implement except underscore REPL. All right, so now in REPL itself, in the standalone version, we're executing the line in the current world, and so worlds is this concept I have for letting you undo and redo the code and traveling back and forth in time. And so, yeah, that's going to execute execute the buffer in the current world. So buffer B in the current world, which appends it to the history, appends it to the input history and the echo history, the output history. It's going to change the state. It's going to make a new world. It's going to do all that stuff. We definitely want to keep that. But in the history, in the presentation tool, we are not executing in the current world. We're executing we're moving back and forth between the worlds. So we don't yet have the ability to branch to a new world. And I don't think we want to. I think here, this is not a branching operation. This is we're moving back in time. So now insert this command and then rewrite the rest of the history based on that. So I think at the very least, it should mark all future frames as all future inputs as being unevaluated and in need of a refresh. And so then as we page forward in the REPL or in the screenplay, then it will update those cells. It'll update the cells. It's kind of like being in a Jupyter notebook. If you don't press the refresh button, you can have assignments that are early in the file and not affect and they'll be out of sync with the results that use those assignments later in the file. Maybe that's okay for a quick and dirty thing, but I mean, we definitely want you never want to build a presentation around something that's broken, right? You don't want to waste the work. I'd rather get the feedback immediately that this is something is broken here. That doesn't mean we have to do it right this second though. So let's work on because there is a key right now that reloads the screenplay. I believe it's Control O. I think I hit Control O it. No, Control O. Oh, maybe I think maybe I only have save, and then you press Control C and just type RL to reload. Eventually, we will get a file selector and so on. But for now, we definitely want this. But in here, we want to capture the accept from UI REPL, and we're going to say f dot, which evaluates that in the namespace of this object. So the same thing. So that's going to be the end of the file. So basically super, although not really super because this isn't a subclass. This is just an instance, but call the prototype, I guess. And what we want to do, all right, where is KCO is how I'm inserting things. Oh, that is Control O. So Control O does reload the file, but that's not what I want. I want KO. Insert line. Insert line is this. So insert commands, put text. Okay, so insert is part of the list object, and it takes a new item that is unboxed. So we're gonna pass it the string we want. Okay. So accept should be insert commands, and we're gonna insert what we just typed. No, first we're gonna insert the macro. So first we're gonna insert this space dot to indicate it's a macro, another space, followed by get log of ed, because they're in the REPL, so REPL ed. And then once we've inserted the macro for how to record the thing, then we're going to insert without the dot, and that is going to indicate that just the actual text that should be on the screen. And that is B of ed. Without it's just a member, so we don't have to pass an argument to it. I think we're good to trigger update of future worlds. And I'm almost out of time, so that will of course be next week, but let's see if that works. Let's go to the end of these. I'm going to hit Shift E to enter a new text. I'm going to enter, the sum of I10. I press enter. Did not work. Okay, we're going to stay on until we fix this. Insert of commands does set R of, sets the redraw flag. So my guess is that, KCM is not bound, or is bound to, yes it is, okay. Okay, so this is, right, so I've overridden this in the REPL keys. We don't need this. Do we want to hide red? I'm not sure we want to hide it, but we want to say accept red, or accept REPL, which means we need a reference to the REPL as well, REPL. And it's based with uppercase letters because I wanted to preserve the idea that maybe we could even widgetize this someday, so it might have its own base rather than just hard coding it to the base namespace. All right, so let's see if this works. And go to the end of the screen, and we're going to say Shift E to enter. I'm going to say I think I said plus whatever. Oh, hello. I10. Enter. Get log of ed. Did not like that. Accept REPL get log of ed. Okay, so we crashed there, so let's see what the state of that is. So that's screenplay. I need a blank line to work with, so now I run it here. There's nothing on the REPL. I hit Shift E. I hit, whatever, I10. I think something I'm pressing, backspace key is not working. So get log of ed. I'll clear the screen. So ed is so red. Get log of ed of REPL should give me that error. So log of ed of REPL empty, and it's empty because yes, okay, that's why. Man, this thing is getting in the way. So it's KC D of red, K backspace. This is all K KCH of red. This is awful. KCB of red. KCF of red. Because these are the ones that have the logging set up. KCT of red. They're stuck on the. They're attached. The logging is attached to the key bindings, not to the playback, because you don't want the playing back a macro to actually make more of a macro. You don't want that. I don't think. ASC of red. I really need to rethink like how this works. I've got some ideas about how this works, but I can't deal with it today. So one more time. All right, so Shift E, I10, enter. Commands is not defined. Okay, well that I understand. That is because in this namespace, commands is not, there is no reference to commands, so we've got to say commands of base. So commands is equal to commands in the base locale. Yeah, so now we're now that whole uppercase base thing won't work, but I don't have that defined in the namespace. All right, so Shift E, I10, enter, boom, there we go. It's out of order. So we need to swap the order because we're inserting twice. So I guess it inserts and it doesn't move the thing forward, maybe? I don't know. But one more time. Shift E, I10, boom, there we go. So there's the macro of how I recorded this thing. It's not pretty. And it shouldn't be showing up there. That should actually be playing the macro. But what the intent is that when I hit this line, it's going to actually play the animation. And so we're going to have to hook that up, I guess, tomorrow or Monday. And I may do a thing over the weekend. I'm not sure. So if you're following me on Twitch, you'll get a notification when I log in. If I happen to log in over the weekend, I probably will have time this weekend. And I may or may not record it. We'll see. Maybe I'll make a highlight video. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. I always appreciate it, and I will see you soon.